I don't know if you caught what we were talking about there, but we're talking about if everything goes right for the Lions. Basically, that is we are asking for the offensive line to live up to all the resource that was put into them. We're asking for Kerryon Johnson to be the answer at running back. We're asking for Ziggy to return to form. We're asking for Patricia to be the puzzle piece that can kind of put it all together for the defense. Which one of those asks is asking too much or close to asking too much?
Wow. I would say that the front seven, the defensive line, being something that's a standout unit and puts pressure on the quarterback, that I think is asking too much. Because, look, my major concern right now going into the season or going in at least to the preseason, I'm not sure the linebackers are good enough to carry off, and I was just telling John this, I'm not sure the linebackers are good enough to carry off Matt Patricia's defensive scheme. I think Jared Davis is good. I think Devon Kennard is good. After that, you've got major question marks. Christian Jones was in Enigma in Chicago. Will he be consistent here in Detroit? Jalen Reeves-Maben is somebody a lot of people have talked about, but again, you're asking him to make a quantum leap from his first year when he was decent but made some rookie mistakes to being a solid player in his second year. And then beyond that, the depth is an issue. And look, one injury in that group, and you're looking at some waiver pickups. So to me, I think linebacker is a major concern. So to me, the front seven being improved is going to be the one thing that's a stretch.
248-539-9797. We'll get back to your phone calls in a moment. Tony, thank you very much. John Jansen's in for Gator today, the former Detroit Lion, Washington Redskin, Michigan Wolverine. We're talking about this team's ceiling, the Lions' ceiling, and which ask is too much. There are things that we consider givens. Stafford's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Wide receivers are going to produce. Secondary, solid. Prater, money.
Yeah.
But what is asking that you think is too much of an ask or you're concerned is too much of an ask? 248-539-9797. We go to Dan and Warren. Hi, Dan.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're good.
Good.
Hey, so my point is that I don't know if it's an ask too much, but I can't emphasize enough how an improved run game actually helps that whole team, specifically the defense. And what I mean by that is if you got a running game that's adequate, doing its job, keeping you on the field, moving the chains on third down, grinding that clock, all that does is make your defense better, and by keeping it on the sidelines, and allows Patricia, a guy like Patricia, to hopefully scheme this up. So as Tony's point, maybe the linebackers aren't adequate enough, maybe the defensive line isn't adequate enough, but you can hide some of that stuff, and you can hide some of that stuff by how your running game produces.
Well, look, we've talked about the Atlanta template a lot. 2 years ago, Atlanta had a below-average running game, really good passing game, average defense. They went from being a below-average run game to one of the best run games in the NFL. Their defense got worse, and they went to the Super Bowl as the number 2 seed in the NFC. Matt Ryan, if you go back to prior to that season, Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford were ranked. If you look at anybody, I mean, it was usually 10, 11, 12 in there somewhere, both of them. Everybody had Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford in the same echelon of quarterbacks. And then Matt Ryan made that jump in large part because, why? Their running game went from average to very good. The Lions are looking to go from horrible to very good, and that might be too much of an ask.
It might be, but, like you said, they've invested the money into the players. The player, Wagner and Lang, they're proven commodities. Decker is somewhat proven. So if they can make a leap with that, with the line itself, stay healthy, stay on the field, and get some decent production out of Blunt and Kerryon, we might be talking something. I'm talking playoffs. I'm not talking making a great run in the playoffs, but I'm talking about making a step forward. Certainly not backwards.
Okay, well, give us a ceiling. If everything goes right, what's their ceiling, Dan?
Well, they were 9-7 the last 2 years with what we thought was an adequate coach, not a really good coach. They've changed a little bit. Quinn says he's got a better guy overall. So I'm thinking 10-6 and in the playoffs.
10-6 and in the playoffs. Thank you. 248-539-9797. I don't know if you've answered the question, John. What is their ceiling?
Their ceiling. I'm going to say their ceiling is 10 games. I agree with Dan there, and I just don't know how when I look at the schedule And this is going to be they have such a rough start. I think the Jets game, that should be a win.
Has to be a win.
But they go on a short week. They make a West Coast trip to San Francisco. And if you had said this to me middle of the year last year, I said, okay, yeah, that's 2-0. But Garoppolo's a game changer for me, was at the end of last year. Does he have the same magic in 2018 as he had last year? But that's a tough trip because it's across country. It's a short week. Then you come home Sunday night with the Patriots. And say you split the first two, that's 1-1. I'm not sure that they have what it takes to beat the Patriots, so that's 1-2. Lions and Cowboys. The Cowboys have a pretty darn good offensive line, and they're going to get Ezekiel Elliott back. Dak Prescott is not a star quarterback, but he is efficient enough. I don't know that that's a win.
Ezekiel Elliott is going to rush for 473 yards in that game.
It's so, okay, now you're 1-3, and then you got the Pack at home. I just, if they can come out of that first 5, 2-3, I think, we could be a 10-win team. If they come out of it 1-4, I don't think it's the end of the year, but it's awful hard with some young guys on the roster to put that behind you and say you got to take it 1 week at a time and you add them up at the end of the year, because that's a tough start. So I'm going to say their ceiling, it's a hard ceiling, is at 10.
248-539-9797. Feedback into the Karsch and Anderson inbox. Lions ceiling is 8 wins. Bottom is 4-12. They're likely 7-9. A lot more potential for same old Lions than anything meaningful. Next one. What makes the defensive conversation interesting is that the Patriots were the 10th ranked defense in the league last year, and you make a very strong argument that the Lions have better talent on defense than the Pats did. Ceiling, 12 wins. Offense should be one of the best in the league. Defense can limit points based on scheme. 12 wins is doable. You guys sound ridiculous, starts this next unnamed texter. In the end, this team is the Detroit Lions. I ask they change the name, logo, and colors.
See, that's one of the biggest
Wholesale
obstacles.
We are the ones that sound ridiculous. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the biggest obstacles, getting people like that to take themselves out of the history of the Lions organization, which I know is very difficult. They've never won anything. They've won one playoff game. But you can't. That doesn't mean nothing to Matt Stafford, Matt Patricia. You know what I mean? Those teams before this year. It means nothing to them.
Well, does it mean nothing? It means nothing to Patricia. Does it still mean something to Matt?
Maybe the last 9 years means something to Matt.
Right, that's what I mean.
It means, well...
But this is not the same team he had when he started.
But he's been a part of... what if this new rule all of a sudden costs the Lions some game?
There's no doubt that any new rule
then all of a sudden, you're into the catch rule. You're into the timeout. You're into so many different things, and the guys that are on the team are going, how can we escape the same scenario?
There's not, but how many guys have been around as long as Matt has?
Well, I don't know that anybody has.
I don't think anybody has either. You're talking about unless that stuff, if he dwells on that, then he's doomed to failure, and I can't imagine that he does. But, there's been
it's a reputation as well. And guys, we all watch games, we all follow it, and when they come to Detroit, sometimes I think they've got to have it in their mind that is something going to happen to me that's going to be a new rule?
Well,
you
tell me. You came to Detroit.
Well, I came to Detroit after an 0-16 season,
right?
And we ended up going 2-14.
But did you have a fatalistic? I'm now a Lion. We're going to suck.
No, I didn't. But I think you know me well enough to know that that's not
the
me.
way you're wired.
Yeah. And so it becomes a mental game. And so when I was with the Redskins, our big rival was the Dallas Cowboys, and we had a terrible record against the Cowboys. And it started my rookie season when we were up by 3 scores, and all of a sudden, just through a comedy of errors, we get down at the end of the game to kick a field goal to win it, and it doesn't happen. And we go into overtime, and Raghib Ismail returns one, or Troy Aikman hits him for a long pass, we lose the game. It never entered my mind that was a turning point in that series, but it really was, because we had a horrible record over those 10 years. Maybe the problem was me. I mean, but you have to look at it as, when you get into that game, all of a sudden there are a lot of things that, as much as you want to block it out, especially now with the social media and blogs and everything that come up, that it's there. It's something that's there.
Well, that's where Quinn and Patricia got to change the culture of this franchise. You know, when they draft guys like Jared Davis, bring in guys like Darius Slay, whoever, this is not not the same old organization, not the same old line. Right?
Like the last 60 years shouldn't matter to guys who've been here for 2 years. 248-539-9797.